Assassin's Creed Odyssey is an odd one. Before the game came out, I honestly wanted nothing to do with it. Every time I saw it, I felt exhausted, and not even necessarily because it looked bad, although a lot of it did. It was mostly because I was sick and tired of Assassin's Creed. Sick and tired of spending years giving Ubisoft critique and feedback only to have it thrown back in my face and the faces of others. Sick and tired of them failing to achieve the vision that Patrice Désilets set in stone with the first 3 installments of the franchise, and a vision that I fell in love with as a fan of the games. I'm finding it difficult to fully place my opinion on Odyssey. People keep asking me on streams, James, is Odyssey a good game? And that should be a simple question, right? But I feel with this game specifically, I'm finding it very, very difficult to answer such a simple question. I'm finding it tough to say Odyssey is a good game, because honestly, I don't think it's a good game. I also don't think it's bad either. I've had a lot of fun with it, but there's something stopping me from saying it's a good game. I'm hoping whilst writing this video that I'm going to convince myself of a point of view that I can agree with looking back, but what are the odds of that? We don't exactly have a good track record of that on this channel.
May the Father of Understanding guide us
Oh
all.
my god, that was so good! Oh, I can't explain enough how happy that made me. That was one of the best Assassin's Creed games. I think we got to clap. We got to give it a clap. Enjoyed that thoroughly. That was freaking great. Oh my god, that was so good. That was so good. If anyone wants me to, I would give that 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Better than Unity, honestly. Played them both, and this, in my opinion, was better than Unity. That was a really good modern day as well. They did really awesome with the modern day. Actually added more of a story layer on. However, this was a fantastic game, and I hope they continue to improve the series, as Syndicate has given me a glimmer of hope for the series. As for the number rating I give this game, I would give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. Thanks for handling the franchise so well recently with Heresy, with the comics that people are really enjoying, with the movie, and hopefully with the next AC game. And honestly, I'm optimistic. I'm looking up. The movie was great, really enjoyed it. Yeah, there we go. Got the self-deprecation out of the way so you don't have to abuse me. No, seriously, please don't. It upsets me. You can really come at this from 2 angles. One, as an action RPG, does it do its job? Is it a good RPG to stand against the other great action RPGs? And 2, as a part of the Assassin's Creed franchise, does it do a good job of being an Assassin's Creed game? I'm going to try and tackle both to make this as balanced as possible.
I do know one thing for certain. This has been an Odyssey I won't forget.
As an RPG, I'm sure you know Odyssey ticks all of the boxes. It has a huge open world, stat-based combat, dialogue options, gender options, a gear system, loot system, branching narratives, multiple main stories, levels, a skill tree, XP points, heaps of quests and activities, and all the other stuff that makes up a modern action RPG. But Assassin's Creed Odyssey struggles to reach a level of quality and polish you would see from games such as Horizon Zero Dawn or The Witcher 3, games that this new AC direction has clearly taken great inspiration from. Now, you can like Odyssey, I don't blame you at all, but to me there is a clear difference between this and The Witcher 3, and to deny that is ignorance. And I feel like that's an issue when Odyssey is coming out from Ubisoft in 2018, and The Witcher 3 was from a significantly smaller studio 3 years prior in 2015. By all rights, Odyssey should be a better game, but it has that typical Ubisoft approach of doing the bare minimum to get by, and sadly for so many people, that works and people buy their games. There are plenty of things I like in Odyssey, but they're usually coupled with things I dislike. For example, I love the naval exploration, but I can't stand the naval combat. I love the cultist system, but the pacing felt slightly unbalanced towards the end. I liked the combat, but the enemies are total damage sponges, so you can't enjoy it properly. The exploration is a great time, but like in Origins, the question marks on the map mean that it's a process of going from A to B to C, rather than fully exploring the world and stumbling upon these places, of which which you have a checklist of tasks to complete within them so that you can move on. This completely cuts out exploration and makes it a race to complete all objectives in each question mark, complete a region and move on to the next, rather than enjoying and exploring this open world. This is a huge issue I had with Origins, and it's back but times 20 because the map is so big. To fix this, you could simply remove the question marks, have the world be open to be explored, and once you stumble across something, it appears on your map. And don't give us like 10 different things to do in this location to complete it. Just allow us to decide if we want to go into that cave or into that bandit camp, and if we decide to, maybe we'll find loot and maybe we won't, but that's our choice to explore the world at our discretion. It's something that the Elder Scrolls games have nailed, but these modern action RPGs seem to lack, and it's incredibly present in these new Assassin's Creed titles. Look, I don't want to drag out this section of the video because you've probably seen every review under the sun talk about the gameplay and the world and the story from the perspective of another action RPG, and I pretty much agree with everything they've said in that regard. You want to hear how this works as an Assassin's Creed game, because that's what it is.
But I'm not an assassin. Not anymore.
Now, this is something nobody is talking about. Of course, you'll get this angle from the Four Pillars, no doubt, which is important, and Luma is talking about it only to get lampooned by Ubisoft for basic constructive criticism, but now I digress. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is an Assassin's Creed game, only because the name says it is. In every single other way, it fails to do what was fundamentally set up by Patrice and the Ubisoft Montreal team back in 2007. To prove this, I have a document created by the dev team of Assassin's Creed 2 back in 2008, detailing the 10 commandments of Assassin's Creed. Number 1. Assassin's Creed will always tell the story of the secret war between the Assassins and the Templars. In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, there are no Assassins or Templars. With Origins, this could also be seen as an issue, but given that it was an origin story, you can really let it slide. The Assassins were formed and the Templars were just going by a different name, but they were still Templars. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, however, has the Cult of Kosmos and a single mercenary, the player. This directly contradicts the first commandment of the Assassin's Creed Bible created by the original dev team. Number 2, being an assassin doesn't make the main character a ruthless killer. He kills, but he has principles and never murders innocents. He avoids collateral damage as much as possible. The main character is not an assassin. The main character can kill as many innocents as they wish in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Again, completely misses the point and ignores it entirely. Number 3, the war between Assassins and Templars is the foundation of our franchise's story in the past and the present. The foundation of the story in Odyssey in the present day is not the battle between Assassins and Templars. I don't even think Templars are mentioned in this game. The goal is to find the spear and then to find the gateway to Atlantis for some reason. It's not ever really explained why, other than that it holds knowledge with which Layla is able to break the node of the end of the world, which will continue to try to reoccur until she can bend time to stop it. In the past, Cassandra, or Alexios' story, is to defeat the Cult of Kosmos and reunite their family together. The foundation isn't Assassins versus Templars. Number 4, Assassins should always be agile, socially skilled, unbeatable with a blade, and a stylish badass. You're not an assassin, however you are agile and you are socially skilled in terms of dialogue, however not in terms of social stealth, which is what I think this means, as that has been entirely removed. The enemies in this game are total damage sponges, and so you're definitely defeatable with a blade. Not that this is a huge issue, I'm just explaining how it doesn't adhere to this document. And your customization is thorough, however you do not wear assassin robes. Number 5, pivotal moments in human history are the basis of our franchise. Assassin's Creed will always take a revisionist approach on real events. We'll use historical gaps to create our history. Yeah, I guess that's fair, you get that one. I suppose you did do that. Good for you. Number 6. History should always be portrayed as relevant to our core audience, with facts that tie into the present day common knowledge and edgy modern art direction. I mean, if a Minotaur counts, and Pegasus, and a Sphinx. Number 7. Assassin's Creed is based on technology. Nothing is magical. Everything has a plausible technological explanation. Now see, this is where things get muddied, because clearly not everything has a technological explanation. Just saying the apple did something doesn't mean it adheres to that principle. The apple was explained in the original games as a piece of tech that communes with a neurological input in the human brain created by the Isu in order to control them as slaves. This is how the apple conjures illusions for human brains. However, in Odyssey, they've just said that a piece of Eden somehow, fused with flesh, turns them into mythical beasts. They aren't simply illusions because they are physically those creatures and they attack you as such. On top of this, we have a unicorn mount and a Pegasus mount, and neither of which are explained. We can assume that it's animus magic, but that excuse is fucking dumb and I shouldn't need to explain why. Number 8. Assassin's Creed is about digging into a character's past through their DNA in order to understand what really happened in key historical moments. I mean, kind of, although they bend it. It's not Layla's DNA, it's DNA found on a spear, and the DNA is corrupted so you can choose between Alexios and Cassandra. It's less of reliving memories and more of a simulation in which you choose the outcome through various choices. It kind of dispels the whole reliving an ancestor's memories part and replaces it like you're kind of reliving their memories, but you're more choosing their memories, and that doesn't adhere to this point. Number 9. Since the player relives the deeds of his kin through his DNA, the IP cannot be set in the future. DNA of unborn people does not exist. Okay, well, it's easy to stick to this one, so 2 out of 10 so far. And finally, number 10. Assassin's Creed can bend historical accuracy, but cannot create a Uchronia. A Uchronia is another way of saying alternate history. They already broke this one back in 2012 with Tyranny, but they've basically done it again with Odyssey, since mythical creatures don't exist, and even if they are explained off with, oh, a piece of Eden did it, that isn't an explanation, that's just saying a piece of Eden did it. If Ezio suddenly turned into a rhino and impaled Leonardo, and Ubisoft said, oh, a piece of Eden did it, nobody in their right mind would have taken that as an actual explanation, so we can't accept that here either. The history of Odyssey has taken so many liberties that I would call it a Uchronia. And so with all this considered, they've managed to achieve 2 out of 10 of the Assassin's Creed Bible commandments written by the original dev team, and I'm almost certain that was likely an accident. The 2 points they did hit were incredibly vague, and changing them would have taken more effort, such as setting it in the future or not using historical periods. This to me is consistent with how Ubisoft as a whole, and especially Ubisoft Quebec, has treated the brand in recent years. They simply do not care about creating the best Assassin's Creed game. They simply want to make games, and they have zero respect for the brand they are creating for. The Black Flag team, on the other hand, although liberties were taken with Origins, which in an ideal world I would not be a fan of, they are liberties that don't overall hurt the brand in such a drastic way. It was for the most part in keeping with these commandments and the fundamentals of the Assassin's Creed franchise. Ubisoft Quebec have seemed completely adverse to hearing any form of criticism, whether it be from me, whether it be from one of their golden boys like Luma, or whether it be from people pointing out their clear hypocrisy. Assassin's Creed has been very hurt by people who don't care for it the same way that Patrice did, or the same way the fans do. As an Assassin's Creed game, this clearly misses all of the marks and is trying so hard to be something it isn't while keeping the name Assassin's Creed. The game as a whole isn't a badly made game, it's not even a badly written game, it's just not an Assassin's Creed game at all, and that seems exactly where the franchise is going. It's totally lost its identity and thrown away everything that made it what it was, and I think that's where my main issue and confusion with my thoughts on Odyssey come from. The game is fun and it can be a really good time, and the RPG elements, although sometimes shallow and unpolished when compared to The Witcher and Horizon or any of those types of games, doesn't take away from the fact that the game is enjoyable and has good elements. Like I said, the cult system is one of my favourite things, and exploring the world can be fun as long as you aren't just travelling to every single question mark and just doing things as you come across them. But I can't help but feel like this game is held back by the title of Assassin's Creed. This could have been a really fun open world fantasy Greek game that would have been an absolute blast, but because it's tied to Assassin's Creed, they're trying to tie it into the lore, and the issue here is they don't try hard enough to tie it into the lore to have it actually make sense as an Assassin's Creed title, but at the same time, by trying to tie it into the lore, that holds back the potential fun they could have had with a fantasy RPG in this setting. They're trying to do both, but end up doing neither very well. There are so many different things I'd love to go into about this game in terms of the multiple endings and what they mean, and why I feel some of the handling was poor while some of it was actually very interesting and so on, but I don't feel this video is the time to dive down the rabbit hole of spoilers. I will be doing a full spoiler cast for this game in the coming weeks, so subscribe and watch out for that. I'm going to be joined by the 4 pillars in Dynamite, Fishy, and Long-Eared Fox to chat about everything spoiler related. For people who want to know, does this game do anything overall for the story, or does it do anything interesting? It almost does at points with messages in vaults and such, introducing new elements and giving old ones new light, but that's all sort of forgotten in my mind once the modern day ending happens because I simply couldn't take it seriously. If you've played it, you might understand, but it felt like an incredibly superficial and silly version of the Revelations ending, and honestly, it just made me laugh. The ending of the cultist storyline was a lot better and thought-provoking, and in terms of a narrative, it was really well done, if maybe a bit predictable, but the overarching things that tied into Assassin's Creed were done semi-well, and I did get some amount of satisfaction from it. However, the fact that none of the game prior is an Assassin's Creed game, tying it in at the end makes it feel cheap and a bit of a cop-out, as opposed to just making it a true AC game from the offset. But for now, I suppose I've covered everything I need to. Assassin's Creed Odyssey may very well be a good RPG. It could even be a great RPG to some, but it's simply not an Assassin's Creed game.